Oh, here we are. Hi, everybody. Sharona here.
Hi,
And
Sharona.
hi, Claudette. I kind of, all of a sudden, my brain went, what? Where are we? Okay. And welcome to another episode of Conversations That Matter Most. I'm here, Sharona, and then we got Claudette. And I am a transformation specialist, midlife women dancing with change, and Claudette.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Claudette, and I'm known as the Stepmom Coach, and I help stepmoms reintegrate themselves into a ready-made family. So that's what I do.
Oh, fancy.
Oh, fancy, fancy, fancy. We're going to
So,
be a little silly today.
yeah, we're going to be just a wee bit silly, and that's okay because life is, life is life, midlife, life in general. And today we're going to be talking about, our conversation is going to be about success and failure and what that means personally and in the family and in relationships. So, Claudette, how would you like to begin today? How do you want to start?
Well, we were talking a little bit before, and, a lot of times I think that when we talk about success and failure, it's an either or, right?
Yes.
And we have this tendency to put things into opposites or different buckets. I'll be the first one to admit that I do that, and I think we all do that, and it's part of life. We need to have these differences so that we can function in the world, and nothing is perfectly clear cut, but nothing is perfectly, in the center either. And so, we're the second week of January. A lot of times we set goals and think of like, wow, I want to succeed. I want to get great. I have plans. My plans are not working out. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And then I feel like a total failure, right?
Yeah, I'm laughing because today, Claudette, it's one of those, I call them a personal klutzy day. No matter what I did, everything just seems to be going blah. And so I could get into that mindset of it's not going the way according to whatever plan I have. So that must mean I'm failing. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not doing my blah, blah, blah. So today I'm saying, wait a minute, this is what's supposed to be happening right now. And this is what I have to deal with in this moment. And I agree. There's no such thing as perfect. That's a hallucination that we sometimes strive for, but we can be perfectly imperfect in how we go through life. And I think for me, success and failure is one of those things that somehow we don't have taken the time, for most of us, to really assess what true success means for us individually and what true failure is. Somehow we just glom on to whatever culture, family culture, society's culture has deemed to be successful and failure. So those are some things that I've been, so for me, one of the things is that sometimes on a personal klutzy day, sometimes I go right into what is success. Success for me today is I got up, I dressed myself, brushed my teeth, and I'm here. Bravo.
Bravo.
I've already did a successful day.
And we're laughing here, but I think it's important for us to understand that success means different things to each of us, and it means a different thing on a different day, right?
Right.
So when you're having more challenges in your life, when things are not going according to the plan, whatever the plan is, right? Sometimes we just need to scale down and see, like, wow, like you said, Sharona, like I got up, I got dressed, I brushed my teeth, I'm breathing, I'm great, this is a success for me. For me, sometimes there are days when I feel like, oh yeah, I just want to go through this day without having an argument. Like in the past, when I was an early stepmom and when newly married, no, some of the issues I was having, or some of the struggles, was argument, or having an argument with my stepkids or my son or my husband. And so one of the successes I had was if I could just have a day where I'm not arguing with someone, where the kids are doing their chores, where my husband and I are doing, are doing great, are not arguing about whatever, that's a success for me. And, obviously time has gone by and we're doing great. But, if I had not had those moments of so-called failures or non-successful days, I would not have been able to learn from them and be able to do the changes within myself in order to improve my life, right? What do you think about that?
You know what? Yes, I think a lot of times one time I heard, I don't know where it was, but failure is not an option. Actually, failure is the only option. To do anything, you have to experiment. You have to, go out and poke around. I remember, sometimes when I'm working with midlife women, recently I was talking to a woman. She just went through a divorce. She was with this one person for many, she married young, raised family, got a divorce, and she's sitting there thinking, I'm a failure. I couldn't keep my marriage together. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And I said to her, well, you know what? Here you are in the middle of your life. Yes, you had this vision of what your life was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And what happened is it didn't go according to plan, because let's be real, nothing really goes according to plan. I'm just going to put that out there. No matter what, however we envision something's going to happen, it never shows up that way. Never. So we can set the agenda for that day, for that week. And I go, okay, so that was the time. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's the next thing. But this is also the time to ask yourself, what matters most to me now? What do I want to focus on myself first? What does my heart want? And you know what? When you're going through midlife transition and transformation, sometimes a successful day is having a good cry. Yeah. Sometimes it's saying, you know what? Right now, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to ask for help. I think we talked about this before. And then, because here's the thing, you're going towards something and you're doing the best you can. Because you don't get there in the way you thought, you might have done a misstep. You might have gone in a different direction. Yes, you might have failed, but you're not the failure.
Yeah.
You're not the failure. I think a lot of times, especially with women, we take it on that we are the failure. No. Whatever happened didn't happen.
And I want to address that, because what you said is so important. And so I hope our listeners are listening and taking note of this, because this is key. You may have failed at something. You are not a failure. It's totally different. And as you talked, a lot of women, especially women I work with that are stepmoms, they came into a relationship that was previously a divorce, or there's a death in the relationship. So there's a loss in that relationship. And there's often that baggage that comes with creating a stepfamily. So, even though we work in different areas, we have a lot of things in common, right? Like, feeling like, oh my God, I didn't even succeed in my first marriage, or maybe my second or third or whatever. But again, you're not a failure. You failed at this particular task, or you failed at this particular time of whatever was happening, but you're not a failure. And if you turn each of those moments into a learnable or a learning lesson, an opportunity to learn from it, this is where success comes and grows. And then you see yourself like, wow. And then you can share with others, like, this is what I've done, and this is how I've come out of this event or situation, and I've grown and I've learned to be a better me, or another version of myself.
Yeah, and it's I liked what you said there, Claudette, because sometimes we think I think another thing that happens that with failure or mistakes, that we make a mistake. One of the things I've noticed when I'm in, like recently I was in a supermarket and something happened, and I was listening to women around me. There were men too, but I was listening to, and it's amazing how many times we apologize for things that are not even our fault. So I took, I'm sorry can be taken out of the conversation, but I want to talk about mistakes, because that's the other thing. I think because inside for a lot of us, we don't feel good enough, or we're not enough. So we need to try to be perfect. Yeah. And so the thought of making mistake, and especially in front of others, or we get nervous and anxious around it. So that fear of mistakes or failure triggers something deep within us. So one of the things I want to dovetail a little bit on that is that I tell women, midlife women, that mistakes are an opportunity to do it differently.
Yep.
Right. You know what? Back in the day, I'm still sort of nerdy. I like science. And life is an experiment. It really is. You go in and you're putting chemicals. I remember one time I'm making something. I forgot what it was. I'm pouring chemicals in, and it didn't come out the way it was supposed to. And the teacher came over and said, "Well, Sharona, what do you think happened?" I go, "Maybe the ingredients were contaminated." And he started laughing. I go, "I don't know what the hell happened. It's just, but that's life. You're putting in day to day, you're being in your life, you're doing the best you can, you're adding ingredients, and sometimes the souffle falls. Yes, sometimes. So then you gotta repurpose it, redesign it,
So I want to just add to your analogy of cooking or souffle. Once I made some cookies, and your chocolate chip cookies, and you're supposed to put sugar, but I didn't have your regular sugar, so I had this raw organic crystal sugar, so it's a little chunkier. So I put this instead of doing my cookies. And I tasted it, and I said, "Oh my God, I failed." And it was for my future daughter-in-law who had just given birth, and I wanted to bring them to the hospital. I said, "Oh, I just messed up these cookies. I wanted them to be perfect." But I bought them anyways because I needed to bring something. So she tasted them. She says, "These are the best chocolate chip cookies I ever tasted." I said, "Really? Like, you really?" She says, "I want you to give me the recipe." Are you joking? And so from now, she always asks me, "Are you going to make me those special chocolate chip cookies?" I said, "It's the raw sugar. I just changed one thing." I thought it was a total failure. She thought it was the best cookies ever. So it's all a matter of perspective, right? Perception.
Yeah, you know what? that just makes me laugh because I've never thought of myself a cook or a baker. My whole philosophy is if I can cook it in one pot, I'm good. Um, but so I've always wanted to try to make a poached egg. And no matter how many times I follow the different YouTube videos and watch, I could not get a poached egg. So one day in one of my homemade soups, I decided that I wanted to make egg drop soup, which is basically you take an egg, you scramble it, and drop it into the soup, and you make soup, and then but I wasn't fast enough, and I just dropped the whole thing in, and I didn't stir it. Well, guess what? I made a poached egg.
Now you know how to make poached eggs.
Right. I can only do it in soup. But here's the thing. Again, all those times of trying to make it the way wasn't working. And I kept saying, oh, see, I can't cook. I can't cook. But I realized that I had to find a mistake. Yeah. Just like the cookies. You found that there was a mistake, a shift, a little change, and everything just happened in a different way. Yeah. So yeah, that's what success and failure is. And it's not an either or. They are actually like yin and yang. They move together in different directions because it's a dance. It's like a dance of energy going back and forth. So I think one of the things is, you're not either successful or a failure. You're both at the same time.
Yeah, and we hear all these analogies about, Einstein and all these inventors. Actually, there was a show that I saw that a lot of the inventions we see together on TV and today is a mixture of a lot of failures, mistakes from other people that either gave up on those ideas and decided this can't happen. Oftentimes, the people who became rich or actually became successful is that they looked at what other people did and tweaked it. And in relationships, let's just go for relationships or in our lives, right? If we look at our lives, if we look at our relationship and take the time to look at what we've done and where things haven't gone right or could have been better, whether you're a midlife woman, you're a stepmom, or just plain old person, look at what you've done. Ask yourself, how could I have done this differently or better, or maybe ask the help of someone? And with those questions, then you'll see, well, I could have done it better if I had done this and this. And then this is where you get the steps to improve and move forward to make an improvement or to do something better, or at least totally different, like my cookies. They were totally different. Mm-hmm. Or like your poached egg, which is like, dropping it in soup instead of water. Now you have a soup egg.
Soup egg. That's what it is.
Soup egg.
Soup egg.
But it's all a matter of looking at what you've done, as you said before, Sharona. Look at what you've done and see, okay, if I do just a tweak, if I do something a little different, like all these inventions that we now have today, everybody's improving on what we currently have. So it doesn't mean that the things before were a failure. It's a different version, an improved 2.0 version of whatever. Relationships like this, like people who are in the step families, it's a 2.0 version of the old family, but with new participants, new players, new rules, new roles, a lot of stuff, but you still have the history that helps you to move forward. Right, Sharona? And I'm sure with midlife women, it's the same thing, right?
Right. And that's one thing that we need to remember as midlife women. We've been on this planet for a certain amount of time. we have had experiences, and from those experiences we gain wisdom. And yes, no, nothing is, you know what, and here's the thing, it's when you're going into a new relationship or a new workplace or a new family or whatever, there's a learning curve. You know, how are we going to communicate with each other? You know, one of the things a lot of times, and I was thinking about this, everything really is about relationship, the relationship with ourselves, the relationship with other people, relationship with life. And one of the things is how we communicate. How are we with ourselves? How do we talk to ourselves? How do we support ourselves? How do we ask for help? How do we move into a place where I can appreciate the other person's point of view, but this is where I stand, and this is what I believe, and this is what I think. And how do you have a conversation? And a lot of times when we're going into newness, we think we can do it in the same old way, but we got to learn how to do this dance now. We need to learn how to move within this new family, new career. Maybe as a midlife woman, I have to go back to school and get, so how do I deal with being much older than the students there? And I'm not as tech savvy, so I'm going to have to learn about technology and poke things and punch things, and I'm uncomfortable. But in that uncomfortableness is where we grow, where we learn, and where we prosper in a way, because we're moving forward instead of holding on to the past. And so relationships is, how do we communicate? How do we talk to each other and to ourselves? I think sometimes we forget that we can be constantly berating ourselves on something that we have no control over.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, yesterday on the television, I think it was Good Morning America, or Today, I think it was the Today Show, and one of those news shows, they were talking about the power, or it was on the weekend. Anyways, they were talking about the power of meditation and how to, calm ourselves. And a lot of times people are asking, how can I quiet the voice inside my head? And the answer was, you can't. Otherwise, you're dead, right? You will always have that little chatter, but you can direct it and control it and guide it towards being more positive. I think everybody at some point, I have a therapist, I see a therapist, and because I have like this chatter in my head, and I say, okay, I need help. Help me stop this chatter. And she said the same thing. And so one of the suggestions she shared with me, and it wasn't something I didn't know, I already knew. I just needed a reminder. And so she reminded me to, whenever we hear the negative things that are bringing us down, which leads us to creating more and more failure in our life, is to tell this little voice, stop. I don't want to listen to this. I'm going to move forward, and this is where I want to focus on. And, even though it seems simplistic, it really works. Because sometimes I'm, in the car, and this is where I personally realize is where the negative chatter comes in for me, is when I'm driving in the car, and then I have all these little scenarios coming in my head, and it's like, what are you doing? Stop! I don't want to see this anymore. Enough. Let's do something different. And so you're taking control of your life and not letting your thoughts dominate you, right?
Right.
You're making the decision. This is what I want to focus on. This is where I want to go. And so, like we were talking about, my plans are not going according, my things aren't going according to plan. Oh my gosh, I'm a total failure. I'll never succeed. I'll always be like a bad lady, right? Like
Right.
whatever. Or I'll be in the dumps, or I'll never amount to anything. But remember, if you look at what you've done, it is impossible. And I really mean impossible, that you've not succeeded at something in your life. You have succeeded. And I think if you remember those moments and move forward, then that will help calm or quiet that little gremlin inside your head saying, you're no good, you'll never succeed, you're a total failure. And it'll help you to move forward and look for what you can do to have a better life, have a better relationship, not only with other people around you, but with yourself. I think we cannot forget, we need to have a great relationship with ourselves in order to be able to have a great relationship with others.
I agree. I agree. Because I think one of the things is it all starts from within. We need to start at person one, which is self. And one of the things I wanted to put out there is that here's something that our viewers could ponder upon, is really ask yourself in this moment in time, what is true success for me?
Mm-hmm.
Give it a definition. Make it your own. Make it your own. And, and make it that it works for you no matter what. I think that's the key. No matter what does success mean to you personally? The other thing that another suggestion could be is at night before you go to sleep, list off 5 things that you did that day that you feel, I'm going to put in air quotes, successful about. So 5 things you feel successful about, maybe, and a couple things that you're grateful for that happened that day. So that way you're starting to take, because a lot of times we have a tendency of focusing on what didn't work instead of celebrating what did. Mm-hmm. So what does success mean to you personally? List 5 things you think you were successful for that day, and a couple things you're grateful for. The other side of that, give yourself a definition, a personal definition of what true failure is for you. What is true failure for you? And again, make it that it works no matter what. And there was a definition I came up with. Failure for me personally was, I truly fail when I give up on myself.
Oh, wow. I love that, Sharona. I think, yeah, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to write this down for myself because, yes, when we give up hope, when we give up being able to see possibility, that's when I think we become a failure, or at least that we fail. Not that we're a failure, but that we failed at moving forward in life.
Right? And you're right. And it's sometimes I think there's so much pressure, especially in our Western cultures, to make a certain amount of money and live in a certain way. And there's all kinds of things, and how to look. Oh, for women, how to look and how to be, and God forbid you have curly hair,
or straight flat hair,
right? God forbid, or a color that's not blonde. But one of the things is that we get to choose what. And then there's this thing about having a great life or living fully or whatever that means. And I think sometimes that puts way too much pressure on. I think we need to just take it down to what supports me, my family, my relationships, my work, and what doesn't. And just keep focusing on that instead of, what seems to be missing in my life. What do I want to have more of? A lot of times we forget that just because we're midlife women or stepmoms, we get to have fun. We have to have fun. We get to be silly, So I always say, find the fun. Find the fun in what you're, in that moment. And of course, if it's appropriate, but sometimes inappropriate fun is also good too. Yeah, as long as you don't get caught. But here's and if you do get caught, just deny everything. But here's the thing: it's just be the best that you can be in that moment, and find your and keep finding your way. And if you're not sure how to do that, find people who you feel represent success for you, and then model them. Or ask for help, ask for support. Again, we are not meant to do life by ourselves. We are interdependent on each other. Find a team to help with what you need to do. We do not have to do life alone.
Yeah. And I think this is a great place to wrap up in our conversation, because it's true, we're interdependent. We need a definition. Make a definition of what success means for you. And if I'm thinking of step families, just the fact of having a meal together at a table and being able to have some civil conversation for you could be a success, right? So define success on your terms. Define what failure looks like, or how you would see failure for yourself. Like, for me, failure would be, in my case, not spending time with my grandkids, my kids, and my husband. That would be a failure for me, because I have put other things a priority on top of the people that I love the most. And that's like the core value of who I am. My family comes first. And I've had conversations with this. And then, as you said, look at yourself and take care of yourself and ask for help. We're interdependent. We were not meant to live in isolation, and we're social beings. We need other people in order to help us grow and move forward. So great message, Sharona. I really, I loved our conversation today. I think we shared a lot of great information. There's a lot here. Again, I encourage you, if you enjoyed this, share it with others, and maybe re-listen to this. I know personally, I need to listen to some of the content more than once so I can take notes. And then it's, oh yeah, remember, I forgot this. So, enjoy this, listen to it again, take notes, share it with some of your friends. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think, and maybe what are some of the things you'd love to hear about midlife women or about stepmoms. We'd love to hear your feedback, and do more of our episodes and talk about things that matter most to us and to you.
Great. Thanks, Claudette. And, I just wanted to say, on top of that is, when we're trying to make a change in our lives, again, we're only 2 weeks into the new year, and we probably had some resolutions and they're not working out. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to give up, to make a change or a shift, it takes repetitive steps. You know, we're, you know, sometimes we think as midlife women or stepmoms that we're adults now, we should get this like on the first try. So yes, so re-listening to this information, commenting on it, you know, sharing your thoughts. You can reach me at dancingwithchangetothrive.com. I'm on Facebook, Midlife Women, Dancing with Change. I'm also on Google Plus, Midlife Women, Dancing with Change, and on Twitter. And you can find, you know, and if you need more information, contact me and Claudette, where can they find you?
So you can find me on all social media platforms. If you just type in the Stepmom Coach or Stepmom Coach, you'll find me. My website is stepmomcoach.com. I also write for the Stepmom magazine, monthly articles. So if you're interested in learning more about tips and advice for stepmoms, I write for Stepmom magazine as well. So again, this was a great episode, Sharona. Lots of great tips, lots of great advice. You know, and you know, this is something I enjoy doing, sharing and passing on some wisdoms so that women can really thrive and feel successful in their lives.
Yes, I agree, and I find these very I find these episodes connecting in ways that are just brilliant, and really brilliant. And so we're going to close now. And as we sign off, I just want to say, groove on, have fun, and thrive. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Claudette. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Sharona. Bye.